Namaste everyone. Thanks for joining me. At the outset, let me thank the core committee of Ayurveda Network, Banaras Hindu University, for giving me another opportunity to share my ideas with you people. Today, I have selected a topic on bioenhancers, Ayurveda and bioenhancers. Let us see both Ayurvedic and contemporary review regarding the bioavailability enhancing activity. Very interesting factor is that the concept of bioenhancer was first explained in India itself. That was also in relation with the herbal drug. That too, the most popular drug that we are using in our clinical practice, Pipali, and a phytoconstituent of that, piperine. With this background, so let me start today's presentation. Considering the length of the presentation, I have divided this into two parts. Today, we will take up the first part, and this will be followed by the second part in due course. I have entitled the presentation as Ayurvedic Bioenhancers, the Classical and Contemporary Review. What is a bioenhancer? A bioenhancer is an agent capable of enhancing the bioavailability and efficacy of a drug with which it is co-administered without any pharmacological activity of its own at therapeutic dose used. This is not the main drug. This is a drug which is co-administered with the main drug. And its purpose is to enhance the bioavailability and efficacy of the main drug. And an important condition is that this bioenhancer should not have its own pharmacological activity at therapeutic dose that is used. It may not 100% be fulfilled in the case of Ayurvedic products, because all those drugs which are considered to be bioenhancers in Ayurvedic formulations will definitely be having their own pharmacological activity, but may not be as pronounced as the main ingredient. What is a herbal bioenhancer then? Herbal bioenhancer is an agent of herbal origin or any phytomolecule which is capable of enhancing bioavailability and bioefficiency of a particular drug or nutrient with which it is combined without any typical pharmacological activity of its own at the dose used. At a higher dose, definitely it can show the pharmacological activity. Same definition of bioenhancer in general, but when that bioenhancer is of herbal origin or any phytomolecule, then it is called as herbal bioenhancer. Let us observe about the history of bioenhancer. In the 1920s, Bose, a very popular, well-acknowledged author of Pharmacographia Indica. Pharmacographia Indica is a well-known text, and Bose is the author of the text. He, about 100 years ago, 101 years ago to be more specific, reported an enhanced anti-asthmatic effect of an Ayurvedic formula containing Vasaka, that is Adatoda Vasica, when administered with long pepper. He found that efficacy of Vasa containing formulation could be improved with special reference to anti-asthmatic effect when it was co-administered with long pepper or Pipali. The term bioavailability enhancer was first coined by an Indian scientist at the RRL Jammu. Regional Research Laboratory, Jammu. Now it is known as Indian Institute of Integrative Medicine. And these scientists discovered and scientifically validated piperin as the world's first bioavailability enhancer in 1979. Then what is this bioavailability or bioefficacy enhancing activity? The term bioavailability or bioenhancing activity is defined as a substance at a lower dose level, which in combination with a drug or nutrient, it can be a medicinal drug or a nutrient also, provides more availability of the drug by reducing the consumption of the drug or nutrient, resulting in enhanced efficacy of the drugs. Here, ultimate effect is that you can reduce the administration of the drug in its dose, and you can achieve the same efficacy. Why this bioenhancer has attracted the interest of modern scientists or people of modern medicine, including the pharmacologists and also pharmaceutical companies? The great interest for the improvement of bioavailability of a large number of drugs are because it is well established in the allopathy system that majority of the drugs are poorly bioavailable. They are not very well bioavailable. And also, many of the medicines are to be administered for long periods. Whenever you have to administer the drug for a long period, cost will be more, possibility of toxicity also will be high. So toxicity is another concern. If you are able to reduce the dose, definitely possibility of toxicity is less. Expensive, many of the drugs are expensive, maybe because of the dose and also because of the long period of administration. So maximizing bioavailability is therapeutically important because the extent of bioavailability directly influences plasma concentrations and consequently therapeutic efficacy. That is why we always intend to increase bioavailability as much as possible so that therapeutic efficacy will be improved. Bioavailability enhancement can make the expensive drugs affordable because dose is reduced, and reduce the toxic effects, again because of the same reason that the dose of the drug is reduced, so that the gap between effective dose and toxic dose can be widened. What are the benefits of adding a bioenhancer? Same, drug dose can be reduced, cost of the drug can be reduced, incidence of drug resistance can be minimized, risk of ADR or adverse drug reaction side effects can be minimized. Moreover, efficacy is enhanced by increased bioavailability. And another interesting observation, especially in relation to the herbal industry, is that secondary beneficial effects, including reduced requirement of raw material for drug manufacture. This is very important in herbal industry because we require huge amount of raw materials. And especially when it is from the trees or the plants which are endangered, which are to be used in very high amounts, suppose for manufacturing, it becomes very, very difficult for us. If the required amount of the raw material can be reduced with the help of bioenhancer, it is a benefit for pharmaceutical industry also. What can be the various mechanisms here? One is promoting the absorption of the drugs from gastrointestinal tract. If amount of the drug that is absorbed in GIT is increased, naturally bioavailability is expected to be more. Second is inhibiting or reducing the rate of biotransformation of drugs in the liver or intestines. If you can slow down or reduce the rate of biotransformation of the drug in the liver or intestines, duration of action of the drug will be enhanced. Third is modifying the immune system in such a way that the overall requirement of the drug is reduced substantially. You will have to train the immune system, because we know in Ayurveda, immunomodulation is an important mechanism that we can easily achieve by using several types of herbs. This will help to a great extent to reduce the overall requirement of the drug. Fourth is increasing the penetration or the entry into the pathogens, even where they become persisters within the macrophages, such as for Mycobacterium tuberculosis or such others. There are many such pathogens which may be engulfed by the macrophages, but body is unable to destroy them. They remain as persisters. In such situation, if the drug can penetrate better or enter better into the pathogens, they can be destroyed more easily. So this eventually ensures the enhanced killing of these organisms which are well secured within the places, otherwise inaccessible to the active drug. Another mechanism is inhibiting the capability of pathogens or abnormal tissue to reject the drug. For example, efflux mechanisms frequently encountered with anti-malarial, anti-cancer, or antimicrobial drugs. This is a very important factor. Pathogens, they attain such a capability. Even some abnormal tissues, as in the case of cancer, they attain such a capability that they can reject the drug. Efflux mechanism in the body may throw out the drug. It may not allow the drug to show its efficacy. In such situation, such capacity of pathogens to reject the drug is inhibited here. Another possible mechanism is modifying the signaling process between host and pathogen, ensuring increased accessibility of the drugs to the pathogens. Another very important mechanism is enhancing the binding of the drug with the target sites, because we know that when the drug is administered, whichever is the drug, it has to reach and attach the target sites. Target sites may be receptors, or they may be proteins, DNAs, RNAs, or the likes in the pathogen, thus potentiating and prolonging its effect, leading to enhanced antibiotic activity against pathogens. Besides this, the bioenhancer agents may also be useful for promoting the transport of nutrients. This is very important in the case of nutritions or nutrient supplements or food supplements or functional foods, and also in the case of drugs. They will see that such active principles or the drugs or nutrients are better transported, better carried out across the blood-brain barrier. This could be of immense help in the control of diseases like cerebral infections, epilepsy, and other central nervous system problems. Now, this is in general about the bioenhancer or bioavailability and the possible mechanisms. Let us see what are the possible mechanisms or the concepts in Ayurveda that can be correlated with bioavailability enhancing processes. Yogavahi, Deepanapachana. These are the important mechanisms in Ayurveda which can be correlated with bioenhancing activity. What are the processes that can help to increase bioavailability? It may be Snehapaka, Kshirapaka, Bhavana, Marana, Anupana, etc. Let us take up one by one. First is Yogavahi. Yogavahi Dravya. Whenever we talk about Yogavahi Dravya, the most important one is Madhu. Apart from Madhu, there are many other materials, say Grita, Guggulu, Shilajatu, Parada, Kajjali, Rasasindura, Bhasma in general, all are known to possess Yogavahi properties. Let us concentrate on Madhu. Yogavahi Param Madhu. In Charaka Samhita Sutrasthana 27th chapter, Acharya mentions Nana Dravyatmakatvacha Yogavahi Param Madhu. As it is sourced from multiple types of flowers, from various plants, it is potent and best among Yogavahi. What is this Yogavahi? Sushruta Samhita Sutrasthana 45th chapter mentions Tadyuktam Vividhaihi Yogaihi Nihanyad Amayan Bahun Nana Dravyatmakatvacha Yogavahi Param Madhu. Why Madhu is Param Yogavahi, Shrestha Yogavahi? Because Tadyuktam Vividhaihi Yogaihi, when various formulations or medicines are mixed with honey and administered, Nihanyad Amayan Bahun, many diseases can be cured. Nana Dravyatmakatvacha, as it has the capacity to combine and enhance the efficacy of various drugs, it is considered as Shrestha Yogavahi. Dalhana, commenting on the word Yogavahi, says, Yadrik Dravyena Sanyujyante Tadrik Karma Kurvantiti Yogavahitvam. Along with whichever the drug that it combines, if the action of that particular drug is improved, that is called as Yogavahitvam. Tesham Madhye Parama Utkrishtam Madhu Ityartaha. Among all such Yogavahi Dravyas, the best one is considered as honey. Honey is called as Yogavahi because it is a substance which has a capacity to penetrate the deepest tissue. When honey is used with other herbal preparations, it enhances the medicinal quality of those preparations and also helps them to reach the deeper tissues. Just like water, which is considered as best anupana in the case of ahara, Madhu is the best anupana in the context of Aushadha. Now let us take up next example, that is Bhasma as Yogavahi. All Bhasmas have common properties, that is Rasayana, Yogavahi, etc. Rasayana in general indicates various activities like immunomodulation, anti-aging properties, etc. Whereas Yogavahi indicates ability of drug carrying and targeted drug delivery by Bhasmas. That is why in various Amayika Prayoga, in the texts like Rasatarangini, we do find that a Bhasma, say Swarna Bhasma or Abhraka Bhasma, can be used in a number of diseases just by changing the Anupana. These Bhasmas are prescribed in very minute dose, that is Alpamatra. This reference is well established. Mritani lohani rasi bhavanti nighananti yuktani mahamayamscha abhyasa yogat dridhadeha siddhim karoti rukjanma jara virasham. Or rasi bhavanti lohani mritani suravandite harati sakalan rogan rasayuktani kim punaha. Here more stress is given to the preparation of Bhasma by using Parada as a medium, where you can expect still better bioavailability and bioefficacy. Under the term Rasi Bhavana used here, properly prepared bhasma must be readily absorbable, adaptable, and assimilable in the body and will be non-toxic. The word Shighra Vyapti indicates that after Marana, bhasma becomes easily absorbable and assimilable and spreads quickly in the body, which is nothing but bioenhancer. Under the term Agnidipana, bhasma is expected to increase metabolism at cellular level and acts as catalyst. Bhasma as Yogavahi. So these attributes of bhasma, which I just mentioned now, which is discussed very well by Dr. Prashant Sarkar in his publication, which you must have already read. So these are comparable with the action of nanoparticles in the body. These are biodegradable, biocompatible, and non-antigenic in nature. So nanoparticles in general can be used to provide selected, targeted, controlled delivery of drugs to specific site of action, even across the blood-brain barrier. Further, when we talk about attributes of bhasma, these can be used to extend the time window of bioavailability and to protect the drug from chemical and enzymatic decomposition. These can also result in a reduction of peripheral side effects of drugs by decreasing overall dose of drugs in the body. Now let us take the next example, that is Sneha Kalpana. Sneha Kalpana is also expected to enhance bioavailability. Sneha Kalpana or Sneha Paka is comparable with the liposomal drug delivery system. Here, solid lipid nanoparticles are formed. Better bioavailability can be expected. Even on application to the skin, better transdermal absorption is expected. Drugs that are encapsulated in liposomes are expected to be transported without a rapid degradation and minimum side effects to the recipients. This is what explained by Professor Anand Chaudhary and Neetu Singh in their popular publication. Another method or process by which we can increase bioavailability in Ayurveda is Kshirapak. In any preparation of milk, on gradual increase in temperature, the solubility of fat and protein in the media also increases, which may enhance the extraction of the medicinally important active constituents and retains in the media. As the time of heating is increased, as the temperature is increased, solubility of both fat and protein soluble material will be enhancing. It would also be supportive in the absorption of the medicament. As milk is a colloidal solution, it is the most efficient media for extraction of medicaments and can be easily absorbed through the body membranes. Bhavana is another mechanism by which bioavailability can be enhanced. We know very well that in the context of Amalaki Rasayana, it is very beautifully explained that by the process of bhavana with the liquids like herbal juice, the potency of the drug is enhanced. In the case of Amalaki Rasayana, where Amalaki Churna is given the bhavana of Amalaki Rasa 21 times, we can expect the size reduction of the particles and at the same time better bioavailability also. In Kalpasthana of Charaka Samhita, it is very clearly mentioned, Bhujaschaisham baladhanam karyam swarasa bhavanaihi subhavitam hi alpamapi dravyam syat bahukarmakriti. Swarasa bhavanaihi bhujaschaisham baladhanam karyam. By giving the bhavana of juice of the same drug, we can increase the potency of the drug several folds. Subhavitam hi. if bhavana is given properly, if all Subhavita Lakshanas appear, Alpamapi Dravyam Syat. Even if the dose is small, Bahukarma Krit, drug can show more potensified, varied therapeutic efficacy. So in the case of Amalaki Rasayana, we can see that the dose can be reduced from 12 grams of Amalaki Churna to half to 1 gram with the same therapeutic efficacy. While explaining Bhavana, in the commentary, Acharya Gangadhara says, Bhavanadibhi gunaha adhiyante. Dravyanam dravena alodhanat diva divatape shoshanam. Nishisthapanam ityevam vidhanam bhavana taya gunantaradhanam sya. By the processes like bhavana, you can infuse the qualities and improve the quality. He says that just soaking the powdered drug in a liquid and keeping it for drying under sunlight or as it is at night is also called as bhavana. However, in Rasatarangini, it is clearly mentioned that levigation or a process of grinding in the medium of liquid is important. Yachurnitasya dhatva dehe dravaihi sampeshya shoshanam bhavanam tanmata. But in both these cases, we can expect better bioavailability. Wherever levigation is involved, naturally, particle size will be finer, nanoparticles may be generated, and bioavailability will be still more. Bhavana is a process that enhances bioavailability. What can be the possible mechanisms here? Reduction in particle size due to the attrition or shearing, particles will be broken into finer and finer in size, and micro nanoparticles that are generated naturally will be better absorbed and better bioavailable. Second possible mechanism is formation of nano emulsion. When you grind the powder with the liquid specific, it will result in the formation of nano emulsion. The third is formation of biological complexes. Even when we use inorganic materials in the form of metals or minerals, when we grind them with the herbal juices or decoctions, they are expected to form biological complexes which are therapeutically more active, safer, compatible, and more bioavailable. Marana is an important process, which is, of course, a combination of multiple processes like Shodhana, Bhavana, Chakriyakarana, Shoshana, Puta, etc. In total, when we consider Marana, it is an important process to enhance bioavailability. I have already mentioned in the context of Bhasma that Rasi Bhavanti Lohani Mritani Suravandite Harate Sakalan Rogan Rasayuktani Kimpunaha. Mritani Lohani Rasi Bhavanti. When any metal is converted into Bhasma or Marana procedure is done, it becomes Rasi Bhava. It gets assimilated easily and it can cure many diseases. If Rasayukta, if it is prepared by adding Rasa or Parada, its efficacy will be multifolds. While explaining Marana process, it is clearly mentioned in Rasaratna Samuchaya that Lohadehe Apunarbhavo Gunadhikyam Tato Agryata. The potency will be increased. Anapsumajjanam Rekha Purnata Putato Bhavet. The particles will be floating on the water, maybe because of buoyant force, reduced particle size, or reduced specific gravity, or it cannot overcome the surface tension. Microfine particles that are entering into the finger creases, these are established by Puta. Putat gravno laghutvancha. The hard, heavy materials will become lighter, and very importantly, shighra vyaptincha deepana. Shighra vyaptischa, that clearly indicates the better bioavailability. Deepanam, improved metabolic activity. Jaritadapi sutendrat lohanam adhiko gunaha. If processed with Parada and then subjected to Marana, even better efficacy can be expected. So definitely, Marana is an important process to improve bioavailability. Anupana is another important concept in Ayurveda, which helps as a bioenhancer. As I already mentioned, in the context of food, Anupana helps in its better digestion and absorption and provides complete nourishment to the body. It is clearly mentioned, Anupanam karotyurjam triptim vyaptim dridhangatam anna sanghata shaitilya viklitti jarananija. It helps not only for palatability, but mainly for carrying the drug to target site by which it increases its absorption in target place. Acharya Sharngadara in Churana Kalpana has clearly described this. He says, Yatha tailam jale kshiptam kshanena iva prasarpati. Anupana balat ange tatha sarpati bheshajam. Just like oil which is dropped on the surface of water spreads instantaneously. With the help of Anupana, the drug that is administered spreads in the body very quickly. In modern system of medicine, the term Anupana may be taken as vehicle, adjuvant, or carrier through which the action like drug absorption or drug companion and drug interaction are performed. As I have mentioned already, Madhu is the best Anupana for drugs because of its Yogabahi guna. Even Goghrita is also found to be a very good bioenhancer. In the next session, I will explain some of the examples of bioenhancers in Ayurveda with modern pharmacological works that have been carried out on those bioenhancers. Thanks for joining me today. So let us meet soon with the second part of the presentation. Namaste, everyone.